Stable orbit achieved. We could stay here forever. Well, for a while anyway.
Drive spinning down.
This is Tuesday Security. Prepare to be scanned for contraband. Scan complete. You are cleared to landing, Gagarin.
Sight is clear. Descent start.
All right, let's see what's out there. 8-point reached. Orbit stable. Beginning landing cycle.
Gagarin has always been a bit of a pit in my stomach. I know it wasn't related to Irvin's death, but it happened right before he died, so the events were both emotionally linked to me. I was just thinking that this is about what Irvin saw all those years ago when he arrived. He probably stood here thinking that he was going to make things better. He had a good heart. Oh, you remind me of him sometimes, wanting to make things right. And when you said it out loud, you know, I actually believe we can do it. I just hope our lawyer is as confident. Right. She said she would meet us at our office when we arrive. Hopefully she can tell us what we need to do in order to clear Irvin's name. Let's stick together, though. Gagarin isn't a huge town, but it's not the kind of town that I want to get lost in.
Mech construction is a dead industry, Chief Pretorius. Those jobs aren't coming back. But Reliant Medical, Arcanite, and Satori Mills are dedicated to Gagarin. We were just hoping Gagarin could show the same dedication in return.
I'm not closing off the city every time you want to run a tour group through here.
Our investor visits are the key to making Gagarin a place that works again. A place where people want to live again.
People are living here just fine. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have security work to get back to.
I remember watching shiny new mechs rolling on the ships at the port. Been a long time since
This is Ellie's law office. Perfect. Said she would be expecting us.
Well, well, well. Barrett, you're actually here. Astounding.
Ellie! Ellie, come on. I promised we'd stop by, didn't I?
People make promises all the time, Barrett. And most folks try to avoid Gagarin, not visit it. Anyway, I'm glad you made it out here. We have work to do, don't we? Yes. It was my first case as a bright-eyed, optimistic lawyer.
Well, starting your career with a defeat is rough, Ellie.
It was. But in a way, it made me more determined. Down to business. Perfect. What do you already know?
So we already know that Irvin worked for Hephaestus Mining Company years ago, and they blamed him for catastrophic economic and ecological issues here on Gagarin.
Yes. He lost his case because he didn't defend himself, and we had almost no evidence without him. Well, we can bring the case to a judge here if we have new evidence or a witness.
What about the evidence we found so far?
Yes, well, about that. It's just not enough. In order for me to go before a judge, I'd like to have some solid evidence pertaining to motive. The courts won't entertain a challenge to its ruling unless we're sure that something major was missed in the original trial.
What was the motive from the original trial?
We had no solid motive after our witness withdrew his testimony. Yeah, we need something major. Documentation, recordings, a witness, something.
It's been so long. How could we find anything like that?
I've thought about this a lot since the original case. The mine that Irvin worked at was shuttered in 2309. They probably still have documents relating to whatever happened there with him. That's where you come in. I don't know which mine he worked at when the incident took place. In theory, you could find that information on a Foundry terminal, if you can access it. You'll need a passcode. That's the hard part. Besides the Foundry records, there also might be something in Irvin's apartment. If he knew he was being framed, he might have held on to some documents there.
Makes sense to me.
You've been hanging on to that old apartment this whole time, Barrett?
Yeah, it was easier to not bother with it. Not like it's worth anything in this economy anyway.
I hope you still have the key.
I have it. Figured maybe I'd sell it while we were here anyway. May as well, right?
Hopefully, that's enough to work with for now. If you'll excuse me, I have to get some court documents ready for this case.
I should still have the key to Irvin's apartment. I hope it's worth our time, but I can't be sure. Irvin's old apartment isn't far from here. I doubt there's much in there, but it's good to check.
You been to Clint's recently? You get crushed?
They probably never intended for me. Irvin's old apartment. Here, use this key. After you, Captain. Now I get why he wanted me to look after his plants. No windows, insufficient power for proper lamps. Oh, he must have been. No wonder he wrote so much. Wait a second. What about this safe? I bet it's locked by a terminal. Well, I'll be. If you ever doubted Irvin's genius, look at all this. Still chugging along 20 years later. Aha! Will you look at that? If we go to Town Hall, I bet we can get a copy of that hunting license. Is that Irvin's employment contract? Let me see. No idea where mine H363 is, but we could search for it at the Foundry database. All right, we've got some solid leads, it looks like. The employment contract and the hunting license at Town Hall. Much better than liquid or gas leads. That much is evident. It was a bit strange going through Irvin's old things, though. I was hoping for some old pictures, but nothing. I did, however, find this odd-looking plant. Witchcraft, probably. But if you want a more scientific explanation, I have a couple of theories. It could go through states of hibernation, or draw moisture from the air the way epiphytic plants do. There's also that habitat dish Irvin set up for it, which gave it light and nutrients. Still, I'm not ruling out witchcraft. I'm not sure. It might not even be a plant. It might technically be a fungus. But there's probably a reason why Irvin tried his best to keep it alive. When we get back home, I'll go through some of his research notes. It might tell us something more about this plant. Hopefully it's not poisonous. I don't know if people still curse Irvin's name around here. But if there's any resentment left, we'll fix it. All right, we've got some solid leads, it looks like. The employment. The more the merrier. Unless you're Hephaestus. It was a bit strange going through Irvin's old... I was hoping for some old No, maybe not. But it helps me. Irvin was the last person to handle this plant. It mattered to him. No matter how the case goes, this warms my heart. I didn't expect to find it, but I love that I did. In any event, I'll go through Irvin's notes in more detail later. There's probably a flowchart somewhere with this little guy's name on it. Oh, on that note, we should give it a name. I'm thinking something simple, yet refined. What do you think of Harvey? Then it's unanimous. Okay, the three of us should get back to it. You, me, and Harvey have a case to solve.
Our last head of security was a real hard-ass. Now, if Chief Pretorius chews you out, you probably earned it.
I'm gonna become a famous bounty hunter. Just like the Mantis.
Real scorcher today, isn't it?
Gagarin was a one-industry city for a long time. Now, no.
You ever read about the early history of spaceflight? It's so political. So familiar sometimes. if that will work here. Worth a try. Coordinates look valid to me. Imagine Irvin thinking the same thing all those years ago. Just a job, right? Well, at least we know where to keep looking, right? I guess we'll see what state the mine is in. It's possible they collapsed it before they left. We just won't know until we get there. If that's the case, we'll just have to figure something out.
End of the colony war hit Gagarin hard.
Welcome to Gagarin. Hey, what can I do for you? Okay, no problem.
I have something for you.
Struts retracting. Let's get out of here.
Pumping retros. Orbit achieved. Stabilizing. Done. Careful. This place was shuttered 20 years ago, but it might have new tenants now.
like they left a lot of stuff intact when they shuttered this place. I wonder if they were in a hurry or if it was just cheaper to replace it. Fair game. it's not uncommon for them to leave all this equipment behind, but it seems rushed. Smells weird in here. Why, hello there, sunshine. Oh, yes. I know how this ends. This must be Helge Station. Looking out over those... eggs. Yes, it was modern. got some time to kill. This looks promising. This looks like administration. Company records? Bingo! All right. Now let's go find Irvin and Helge's lab stations. Was the destruction of the bacterial colonies, not the apex predators. So, they ruined the ecosystem here, and it had nothing to do with Irvin. This is it. This is what Ellie needs to see. Seems like Helgi tried to do the right thing here. I'm sure Ellie would want to see this. He's citing numerous ethics violations dating back.
Hey, you might want this. We're clear.
We're locking into orbit
Be
now.
advised, you are entering United Colony space. Please maintain course and prepare to be scanned. Scan complete.
Hey, you might want this. We should check in with Ellie soon. Yeah, I do. How did you know?
I've been trying to get a transfer to New Atlantis.
Ellie! Hello?
Welcome back, detectives.
Really? I sent you all the data from the mine already. As I'm sure you know.
Yes, I've been reviewing it. Sit down. Let's have a chat about it. Welcome back, you two. How was the trip to the mine?
You're gonna love this, Ellie.
Okay, someone better tell me. Come on.
We found the coordinates to Irvin's old work site and went there. Huge battle. Fire, explosions. Pew, 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 pew.
Barrett, please.
You should have seen the plants in there, too. Weird stuff. Anyway, you read over the documents we found there, right? What do you think?
What you both found in that mine is remarkable. These documents show that the chemicals released by the mining process contaminated the ecology even before Irvin was tasked with removing the predators. And they also show that Helgi informed Hephaestus of the issue, and it was repeatedly ignored. And with that, I think we've got ourselves a case, my friends.
Yes! That's what I wanted to hear, Ellie. Woo!
Yes, but it's still likely to lose. Because what we really need now is Helgi as our witness, and that is a problem. Helgi's documents are nothing without him there in court, explaining them to the judge.
Does Helgi still live around here by any chance?
Sort of. He's, unpredictable, though. That's also a bit tricky. He's hard to find. Doesn't really stay in one place for long. You might ask Dr. Kayala. She checks up on folks who fall through the cracks sometimes. You'd have to convince her to tell you where he is. That might be hard.
Sounds like we're making a stop at the med clinic. We'll be back when we convince Helgi to be a witness.
Listen, if he refuses, then he refuses. Can't force him.
Yeah, we don't want to press him too hard. The last thing we need is him refuting what he wrote. This is going to take a light touch, but I think we can handle it.
Do you have a ship?
Do you need medical assistance? Are you injured? Is there something I can help you two with?
Do you happen to know Dr. Helgi Hodgson? We're trying to get his help with something.
Sorry, who are you exactly?
We're detectives. Self-taught and unaffiliated. Freelance detectives. With the emphasis on the free part.
Wait, what? Detectives? Sorry, I don't think I know what you're talking about. No, not really. I mean, there's Irvin the Slaughterer and Irvin the Scourge of Gagarin, but I doubt that's the same person, right? I'm sorry, I'm not a tour guide. You'll have to ask somebody else.
We're trying to help him. And Gagarin, actually.
Only every single time I see him. But listen, I don't have time to chat. Ellie's a good person. That bodes well, but I can't violate my oaths. I'm sorry. Listen, I can say that Helgi took up a job working at Clint's store just down the way. I saw him there stacking boxes the last time I picked up an order. I've got to get back to my work here, so if there's nothing else... I need to get back to my work now, if you don't mind.
Welcome to Clint's. Whatever you need, I'm sure I've got it lying around somewhere. Except mech parts. Don't trade those anymore, so don't waste your time asking. If you need anything, just follow the sound of falling inventory. You'll find me eventually. Take care now.
You're not gonna tell my mom I'm out here, right?
Trade in a little bit of... Funny you ask, because I'd like to know too. He owes me a sizable debt. Yeah, I don't want to be mixed up with anything like that. Maybe I can make an exception. I hear you. Maybe we can work something out. That's what I'm hoping. All right. Fine, fine. I don't know where he is, but ask Lizzie up at the bar. She knows everybody. You sure you got the right person? Helgi and I have had several run-ins in the past. For me, yes. But there's a lot of water.
We just need someone to serve as his character witness. Given your long-standing reputation in the city.
Sure, I can say a few words. I like Helgi, but fair warning, I'm not gonna lie for him. If I'm testifying under oath, it'll be full of the good and the bad.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
I don't miss all the extra heat from the old...
Looking for a drink? Don't serve anything fancy. Well, then make your... Ah, yes. The detectives. I heard about you.
A reputation already? I'm impressed.
Slow news day, I guess. I serve drinks here, friend.
We were told that you are a local crime...
We serve drinks here. Here's a list of our specials for today.
There's nothing on here.
Oh, that's strange. Here, let me fix that. Don't worry, it's just the one sale today.
Oh, right. Of course, it's a number. Here you go, Captain. All yours.
Thanks for your patronage. Sending your receipt directly to you now. We'll be sure to leave a glowing review for your establishment. Don't worry. Wait, so let me get this straight. You want the bartender to testify he's not a lousy drunk? All right, I'm no lawyer, but seems like a bad move. Also, it sounds like work. And I don't work for free.
If it's about creds, you might earn a lot of brownie points with the locals if you helped with that. Points they'd spend at your bar.
As long as I'm still alive to spend it. But fine. If you get Helgi to show up, I'll take some of the heat off of him. Don't cook yourself out there.
Shiny new mechs rolling onto ships in the port. It's been a long time since then.
Share the catwalks, all right? I don't want to have to fish anyone else out of the canyon.
I don't suppose you're here to tell me I've won a ticket to a new planet, huh?
Sorry, Doctor. Not today. We came to Gagarin to investigate Irvin Mandani's contract with the mining company a long time ago. Ring any bells?
Irvin, yeah. Biologist. Hunter. Yeah, I remember him. Why? Who are you people? Then find the history slate. An ancient history slate. Because that's what it is.
Please. Irvin was once one of your colleagues. He was the one Hephaestus blamed for an ecological disaster about 20 years ago. Do you remember any of that?
No, I don't remember lies. He passed on That's a kick in the pants, isn't it? Well, sorry for your loss and all that, but I can't bring back the dead or anything. So you can go now. Thanks.
Look, I know this is strange. We show up out of the blue about things that happened decades ago. But right now, nobody save us knows the truth. And that means we're the only ones who can clear Irvin's name.
And what of it? You probably think the sky is blue too. Well, you'd be wrong. It's whatever color Hephaestus says it is.
Only if you let them. You're a scientist. Your words matter. That's why we need you to testify.
Testify? The trial is over, the verdict rendered. In case you two clowns didn't get the memo. Because I tried before, and they threatened me 20 years ago. I still wake up in fear almost every night. They said if I ever left Gagarin, I left my wife to protect her. She didn't deserve any of this. Any of my mess. Ellie Yankton? But why? Ah, it doesn't matter. Nothing's changed. I cannot do that. Why is this so hard to understand here? Yeah, been a thorn in my side, back and foot for 20 years. Maybe it's time I just pull it out. I'd like to think so. I did, once upon a time. Maybe I still do. Fine, you've convinced me. I'd be willing to testify on one condition. I want to know what happened to Irvin. Because when he disappeared, let's just say I had an epiphany. Hephaestus didn't need to say a word. That's when I knew the threats against me and my family were real.
Dr. Hawkson, it wasn't Hephaestus that took Irvin's life. It was the war. Irvin was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Caught in the crossfire.
Then I am sorry for your loss. It won't change the past for either of us. But I will testify. And maybe, wherever Irvin is, you'll be glad that we can finally stick it to those assholes at Hephaestus.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, don't get all mushy on me now. I need a drink.
Some of the other executives and I have been looking to form a town council. Ensure everyone's voices are heard in city matters. The locals would be invited, of course.
Helgi agreeing to testify is a great help. Might need witnesses to vouch for his character, though. Someone in...
Okay, you two, lay it on me. Did you find Helgi? Did he agree to testify?
Well, we've got good news and... well, that's it. Just more good news.
Okay. Does that mean he said yes? Interesting. Clint's an institution here on Gagarin, but I don't know if his perception of Helgi lines up with the story we're trying to tell. Well, you two have done all that you could. Now it's time to hand the baton off to me.
What do you think, Ellie? Do we have a chance?
You've done a pretty decent job gathering evidence for this case.
So what's the verdict? In this case, I'd say spoilers are appreciated.
I am cautiously optimistic we can win this case.
Optimism is good, especially from you, Ellie.
We'll likely be able to clear Irvin's name and charge Hephaestus with a number of crimes. The only challenge I see is getting all of that and recompense for Helgi. But I'll do my best. All in all, though, really outstanding work. We wouldn't have gotten this far without your efforts. And I've got to imagine that wherever Irvin is, he appreciates it too.
Agreed, Ellie. And thanks for being our anchor in this. We should probably get out of Ellie's way and let her do her thing. We can talk more in private. Wow, we actually did it! Solved the case, and hopefully cleared Irvin's name. I feel like, what's the old saying? A great weight has been lifted off my shoulders? But it's actually true. I feel like I'm 80% biomass and 20% aerogel. Thanks. I was trying not to be too optimistic about our chances, because that's when a cosmic reversal kicks in. But I think it's okay in this case. We've already proven Irvin's innocence, and I trust Ellie to explain it. I'm feeling great. Although I could do with some wine and cheese. Why stop at emotional satisfaction when we can indulge in the culinary too? But if I can be serious for a moment, thank you. I couldn't have done this without your help. That makes two of us. Three if you count Harvey. And who wouldn't? He's practically family. In fact, Harvey's got a little explorer in him too. According to this slate I found, turns out that our spiky friend's been all across the galaxy. You know what? He just might. But it's probably best you chart the course. Harvey doesn't do well with things that require hands. We've been through a lot, haven't we? I had forgotten what it was like to work with someone so closely. On top of everything else we've done together and with Constellation, yeah, I think so. Investigating Irvin's case with you is something I'll remember forever. I've come to realize that some events, some people, stand out as pillars of my life. Yes, some of them do. And if we're lucky, they change us for the better. We only get a brief moment in this universe to interact, to feel, to be who we are and experience the range of emotions that our bodies and minds have evolved to comprehend. And the definition of that changes for everybody. If one is fortunate, you might even notice events and people changing you while it is in motion. Like any group, Constellation is only capable of doing that because of the people within it. I've explored many worlds, and I've worked with Constellation for most of my life. I cherish those memories. But you have changed me as a person forever. I don't want to look back years from now and wonder what if. I need to know what you think about us. You took the words right out of my mouth. Now, mind if we get back to exploring this beautiful, mysterious universe with me, Captain?
Hello, Detective.
Hello.
should catch up sometime. Later.
Man, could I use a vacation?
And we're off. Let's glass.
Orbital insertion complete. You may now move freely about the cabin.
Be advised, you are entering United Colony space. Please maintain course and prepare to be scanned. And complete. Enjoy your stay in New Atlantis.
Captain! Over here!
The workup's in the cabinet's hands. They said they'll call for us once they've gotten to properly review it. But listen, I know I should have been more forthcoming about who I was earlier. So, in the interest of full disclosure, there's one more thing you ought to know before we head up there. My relationship with the UC. It's more complicated than it might seem at first glance. The UC's actually the only reason I'm here in the first place. I am a clone of a man named Francois Sanon, one-time fleet admiral of the UC during the Colony War, former head of the UC Navy. They called him Ve Victus, woe to the defeated, in Old Earth Latin, a title he earned. The program I was a part of, it was the UC's attempt to create a new generation of military minds from one of their most respected tacticians. Secure the leadership of the UC military for generations to come. He would have happily told you he was one of the greats. Ultimately, though, it didn't matter. The man I was cloned from, my father, was executed for acts he committed during the war. The man caused a lot of death, on both sides. Freestar Collective and UC. Military and civilians. And the things he did, well, they're a part of the reason the UC and Freestar Collective aren't really on great terms to this day. So my involvement, it could be another obstacle they throw at us up there. I just wanted you to be forewarned. I really appreciate you saying that. I just thought you deserved to know, considering how much you've done already. You know, while we've got a second, was there anything else we needed to discuss? I know you got dropped into the middle of this pretty fast. Or, if you've got any last-minute business to attend to, now might be a good time. No telling how long the cabinet's gonna keep us waiting out here. Then I guess it's just a matter of...
The cabinet meeting is about to begin. All parties... Please proceed to the cabinet chambers.
Sounds like our cue. Here we go.
Captain, can I help you? Ah, welcome. You must be the captain Hadrian mentioned in her report. You have our thanks for the risks you faced in securing this information.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yes, well, precisely how urgent is what I hope we'll determine here today. So now, we have two petitioners here making a surprising request. Access to the UC Xeno Warfare Team's Terramorph data, currently housed in the Armistice archives. A request which will require not just this body's agreement, but that of all three Armistice signatories: UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varun. Now, Captain, we've all read Hadrian's report on the subject, but we have yet to hear from you. Perhaps you could summarize for the Cabinet what it is you see as the goal of this endeavor.
That's quite the leap, Captain. Madam President, I object to the very premise of this meeting. While no one would argue that what happened on Tau Ceti was anything less than a tragedy, Terramorph attacks are not some sudden new threat on the horizon. They've been happening for generations. To demand we hand over banned archival knowledge and possibly upset the balance of galactic diplomacy because of a single attack seems at best panic, and at worst, a power grab by the daughter of a bloodthirsty warmonger and her associates.
I would remind the chief diplomat who he's speaking to. If it's my father you're looking to address, you're welcome to consult a medium. I would also ask how many deaths the Cabinet requires to act. 50? 50,000? Because if tragedies like Tau Ceti are just prelude to more attacks, I have no doubt you'll get the body count you require.
Let's keep this civil, shall we? And while there should be no doubt the preservation of life stands paramount among this body's duties, Chief Yassine has a point. Will a single attack, however troubling, be sufficient to convince the other factions to grant us access to what they no doubt consider weapon data? I don't think it's enough. Perhaps you can help, Captain. As the one who actually collected the sample in question, did this Terramorph seem at all alarming to you?
Just taking her word for it as well, then.
So it would seem. So then, Captain, given the discussion now and the information you've been privy to thus far, if you were in our position, would you grant the request made to open the archives?
It's a risk, but so is doing nothing.
I'm inclined to agree.
As am I.
Well, I am not. I've heard nothing here to convince me that we should do anything but wait. And I will not risk galactic peace on a question of if.
Yes, a fair assessment, Chief Diplomat. So then, while the data you two have presented is compelling, I think we can safely say it's insufficient for the level of action you've requested. Perhaps once we've... What was that?
Attention. An incident has occurred. Facility lockdown engaged.
Incident? Chief Sarkin, what's happening?
There's been an attack at the spaceport. Terramorphs.
Terramorphs? More attacks. Just as predicted.
Good God.
What's happening, folks? Don't panic. We need to focus.
There must be another explanation. The creatures evaded our scanner somehow.
There will be plenty of time for conjecture later. Chief Sarkin, order the evacuation of the spaceport and have your men contain the things, but do it discreetly. The last thing we need is a citywide panic.
Yes, ma'am.
Admiral Logan, the local barracks can provide support?
I'll make the order myself. The nearest anti-Xeno squad, though, is off-world. Going to take a while to bring them in.
Well then, we'll have to make do with the tools we've got. You two, we can't risk those things getting out of the spaceport. I want you both on the next train there. We'll let them know you're coming and that you've dealt with these things before. Now go show them how it's done.
We're on it, ma'am. Captain, I'm right behind you. Let's get down.
This fleet must be destroyed as now.
You! The air rifle, grab it! Ow!
Stop! We're trying to help you!
Right. And moving on.
That's it. Now hit him with everything.
Seems clear. Well, back to business.
Thank you for what you did. We didn't want to hurt them.
The way those people were acting, I've seen this before. They were under the Terramorph's influence, weren't they?
I don't know. They were down at the port and they just started screaming. We tried to restrain them, get them on the train to get them out of harm's way, but some of the other officers down there, we couldn't restrain them fast enough. They just started firing on us. People we knew. They went berserk.
Pheromonic projection. Some terramorphs, they can induce this fog. It affects everyone differently, but some people just lose control, turn against everyone around them, even if they don't want to. They're like a puppet. You kill the morph, you break the hold. But this means we're gonna need to be real careful with our fire, and keep that EM weapon at the ready. Let's do it.
Nat's unlocked. Please, do what you can to help them.
Something's out there.
God, no time to waste, Captain. Stash enemy equipment, full some firepower. Let's move!
All citizens are required to proceed to the nearest shelter.
You might back up. Don't just stand there. Good.
Experts? Got the remaining creatures locked down on the land. Barely holding our perimeter. They said you've done this before.
Well, one fire team to spare and whatever supplies you need, but I can't risk them taking over any more of my men. Put those things down and do it fast. We'll hold them as best we can.
Captain! We're going to be okay! It's not real! Whatever you're experiencing right now, it's not real! We have to put down that floor!
Surrounded. All around. No way out.
I don't want to even think about what would have happened had we failed. This was damn heroic, Captain.
Guess they weren't kidding about you two. Universe put the right people in the right place. Certainly doesn't feel like it.
I don't want to think what would have happened if you two hadn't been here.
Just glad we could rise to the occasion. Captain, we should report back to the President. Let her know the Terramorphs have been dealt with. Take care of yourself, Sergeant.
Attention. The spaceport has been secured.
I can still feel it poking around in my head.
Let your people all know how much we owe them today.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, there you are. I believe we have some things we should discuss.
Those creatures killed UC citizens. They're not killing anymore.
Captain? Hadrian? It would appear that the Cabinet owes you our thanks for what you did for the city today. As well as an apology. Your concerns about the Terramorphs, well, consider them validated.
Thank you, ma'am.
Of course. I only wish we could have acted sooner. Now, after today's events, the Cabinet has decided to revisit its previous decision. We will be supporting your collection of the Terramorph data from the archives, as well as a subsequent investigation into the nature of these attacks. But to accomplish those goals, we're going to need the right people in the right places. As such, the Cabinet has authorized me to reinstate you, Hadrian, effective immediately, to your former rank of Major. As soon as we've got the data in hand, we want you investigating these attacks and how to stop them. Will you do this?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'd be honored.
Excellent. But as you've both made clear, for such an investigation to succeed, first, we're going to need someone to convince the Freestar Collective and House Varun to play ball. Someone who knows precisely the sorts of dangers the colonies and all the galaxy are facing right now. The Cabinet wants you, Captain, to be that representative. We see your atypical background as a strength, not a hindrance. The people you'll be dealing with, they're rather atypical themselves. In exchange, we're willing to fast-track your citizenship upon collection of the data. So, will you help us? I'm glad to hear it. Now, we, of course, won't be sending you in without the proper support. Deputy McIntyre in the Office of Interstellar Affairs will be your guide on gaining access to the archives. You should be able to find her in her office across the hall. And on behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our thanks. You're dismissed.
I want to hear one of my stories? Or do you have one to tell me?
I'm gonna go check in with Chief Engineer Cook.
We didn't get where we are by sitting on our laurels. Our laurels, in fact, became uninhabitable a long time ago. Helps to remember that.
Okay. Hello.
That must make you my Vanguard captain. Welcome to Interstellar Affairs. I'm Deputy Chief Diplomat McIntyre, Chief Yassine's second-in-command. I heard you were instrumental in protecting the city from the attack. You have my gratitude. I was also told the President wants us to get you into the Armistice archives ASAP. So, we've got no time to waste. You know what the archives are, correct? It was a mutual agreement, but I suppose you touch on the spirit of it. So, you also know then that it was originally managed by the 3 major galactic players. Access to the archives is only granted in cases of dire emergency, and requires a one-time use code from each of the 3 Armistice signatories. UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varun. Now, the UC is already on board, so that means we'll need to convince 2 people. The ambassadors of the Freestar Collective and House Varun to hand over their codes. Get them both and you'll have your data. But that's a lot easier said than done. I couldn't agree more. However, both ambassadors have reasons they won't or can't work with us. Now, I'll provide guidance on how we believe you can acquire each code, but ultimately, it'll be up to you to get them both to cooperate. And I do mean cooperate. Threats and violence are off the table here. Though that doesn't mean we can't get creative. But it does mean we need to get you up to speed on who you're dealing with. Who do you want to start with? Ambassador Radcliffe of Freestar? Or Ambassador Balmore of House Varun? Ambassador Balmore's a challenge. When the rest of House Varun retreated into seclusion shortly after the signing of the armistice, Balmore stayed here. He's since lent his support to a small number of archival requests, so there's real hope he might again. Though claiming to know how a member of House Varun thinks is a quick way to earn yourself a psych eval.
It's weird that we have to say that, but yeah, they're just regular people with different beliefs.
Of course, but there is another wrinkle. We're not 100% sure Balmore's actually still alive. His public appearances were always rare, but it's been several years now since he last poked his head out. Scans of the facility show life signs, but not the kind we were expecting. Your task is to find him and kindly but firmly remind him of his duties under the armistice. I have no doubt. Now, the embassy front door isn't an option, but our spies have stated there's a side entrance that should allow you access. Here, this device should get you all the way down to the embassy interior. Once you're inside, though, finding the ambassador is going to be up to you. And fair warning, we received a report that alarms might have been tripped inside the embassy during the attacks. Watch out for automated security in there. Ah, the good Ambassador Radcliffe. She's a veteran of the Colony War, and her only goal in life is to make ours miserable.
I bet she loves her job.
Now, officially, our office is suggesting you try and negotiate with her. Use your experiences as a member of the military and with the threat we're facing to convince her to lend her support. And who knows? Maybe that'll work. Stranger things have happened. But my suspicion is we're going to have to rely on other tools to get her code. Certainly. See, good diplomacy is all about the careful application of pressure. We just need to find the squeeze. UC Intelligence has a recording device planted in the ambassador's living quarters, which we suspect you can use to your advantage. But getting caught trespassing is a quick way to land yourself in an embassy holding cell. So, if you are going to try and access the device, you're going to need to find a way in there without being seen. Report suggests there's a disgruntled staff member you might be able to pump for intel. Maybe even convince to work with you. All right. Here, your diplomatic ID. I'll give them a heads up you're on your way. Not likely to let you through the door otherwise. Now, if you have additional questions or require clearance for a new approach we haven't already discussed, don't hesitate to ask. I'd suggest you start with Ambassador Radcliffe. Approach her while the attack is still fresh in her and her staff's mind. Be smart out there, Captain.
Space is a
We've come a long way since the war. It's astonishing.
Visitors are only allowed.
Every day that we all keep talking is a day we should celebrate.
All that security, and they still can't protect their own spaceport. The UC never fails to disappoint. I just wish I hadn't received the news from an SSNN broadcast. We have a strategic advantage to maintain, Mr. Long.
Of course, ma'am. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
I'm sorry. Do you have an appointment? Ah, you're the one McIntyre called about. The eyewitness. She said you were at the spaceport. You have my thanks for what you did down there, truly. Saved many lives. Now, she also mentioned that, and maybe it was just a bad connection, that now the UC wants terramorph data from the Armistice archives, some of the most highly guarded information in the galaxy, in order to protect us all. I can only presume you're here to tell me I misheard her and that they didn't send you, local hero, to futilely beg on their behalf. Tell me I've got that right. Excuse me. A less level-headed person might think that was a threat, Captain. Let me be frank, Captain. The answer is no. That information is there because it is dangerous. I will not be the one responsible for its release. Now, why don't you quit wasting my time and yours, and go? You're really gonna push this? All right, I will give you one chance. One! To convince me. Understood. I'm listening. I suppose you're right. Our job and our responsibility. A ranger serving the cause of the colonies. You must really believe in this little endeavor. No one does, Captain. The only question is how to do it. Well, Captain, you make some good points. But if I'm really granting you access, I'm gonna need the following concessions. Your access will be limited. You can only take out the items related to stopping these terramorphs. The monitors will make sure of it. You go in once. You get everything you need on your trip, and never again. And all research done with the data will be monitored. If this data is being used to save the galaxy needs to be involved in the oversight. Freestar scientists will watch your people like hawks. So, do we have an agreement? Excellent. Follow me.
This building is Freestar sovereign territory. So in here, we're the law.
They tell me it should only take a moment. And there. Here, I'll reach out to Deputy McIntyre. We'll coordinate the necessary oversights. Two unlikely allies, I guess.
Say what you will, but I bet House Varun knows how to party. Never gonna get their deposit back after this. done this 1,000 times.
So, what seemed... Punishment becomes providence. A reminder we can never truly know the Great Serpent's designs for us. You have my thanks, and my apologies for the ordeal you just endured. Come, let us discuss. Not the ideal introduction, I suppose, giving you a grand tour of the embassy via barely functioning intercoms. I do greatly appreciate your persistence. I suspect the Venom tree upstairs has worked itself into more systems than I'd realized. But then again, who could cage such a beauty? Tell me though, what is it like outside? I heard the broadcast mentioning an attack. Then the embassy was struck with a power surge, and then... silence. Has the rest of the city suffered quite so badly? Is that right, huh? I shall need to have these repairs seen to sooner rather than later. Now, it cannot solely be the Serpent's grace that brought you here at such an opportune moment. You were sent by the UC. That much is obvious. Who else could just waltz through my door, hmm? And the broadcast spoke of terror morphs at the spaceport. A worrying occurrence, certainly, but coming here of all places, when all I could provide is some enthused cheerleading and... an archive code. So the UC requires information, then. On terror morphs, presumably, hmm? Do I see this all clearly? I was not expecting a fellow believer on my doorstep. Yeah, the preservation of life stands as the very purpose of the archives. Using its data to prevent more attacks, there is logic there. But if I am to grant you access, I have a requirement. For years, House Varun has been known only as an agent of slaughter. We founded this embassy with hopes of shedding that legacy. With little success. In exchange for my code, I require this. You must be the one who ensures it is used for good. Ensure House Varun's legacy is more than just carnage. The knowledge you ask for isn't evil. No knowledge is. It is we who bend it to evil ends. Oh, you must assure me this will be used to save lives, not endanger them. Create the legacy that our people deserve. Please, follow me. Let's hope it still works. And there. Let it be used for good.